Hi, I'm Lucen. One of my favorite animes, Game of Thrones, is finishing its 7th season, and I want to share who I think is Game of Thrones' top 10 good characters. Number 10, Oberyn Martell. A caring father. He has 8 daughters. Although they're all illegitimate, Oberyn makes sure they're all taken care of. What a swell guy. Oh, don't think that Oberyn is a wimp because of this. In one of Littlefinger's brothels, there was this stupid, loud Lannister drunk that kept singing super loudly. So Oberyn, being the mature, level-headed guy that he is, asked the drunk to stop. But the Lannister drunk didn't care for Oberyn's manners at all, and gets up ready with his stupid homeboy to beat the shit out of Oberyn, probably out of nothing more than to look tough in front of the prostitutes. You know, alpha male ego bullshit.
Why are you wasting a woman like this on a Dornishman? Bring him a shaved goat and a bottle of olive oil.
Oh yeah! It turns out that the Lannister is a bit of a racist. He pokes at Oberyn for being Dornish a lot. But Oberyn does not get upset. He still is charming, calm, and collected self. In fact, being the good guy that he is, Oberyn teaches that Lannister drunk his attitude and racism has no place in the Seven Kingdoms. Number 9, Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister is an absolute god. He must have some kind of epic superpower or something where he's able to turn enemies into allies by using words. When Tyrion was arrested by the crazy Catelyn Stark for crippling Bran, even though we all know that Tyrion is completely innocent, he saves Catelyn from a member of the Hill Tribes even though he's her captive and could have used the moment to escape. What honor he has! Later on, Tyrion used his wits to escape imprisonment by being so awesome they had no choice but to let him go.
You wish to confess your crimes?
I do, my lady.
Lord Tyrion, you are accused of hiring a man to slay my son Bran in his bed, and of conspiring to murder my sister's husband, Lord Jon Arryn, the Hand of the King.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I don't know anything about all that. Lannister always pays his debts.
Tyrion went from being a captive stuck in a sky cell to a free man with a small army at his back. You just don't get as badass than that.
To battle!
Tyrion is so smart and good at playing the Game of Thrones, he was able to outmaneuver Peter Baelish, who happens to be a grand master at the game. And Littlefinger was so angry when he found out what happened.
I don't appreciate being made a fool of, dwarf.
Number 8, Walder Frey. His family served loyally as bannermen to their overlords House Tully, who control the Riverlands. But they treat Walder and his whole family like shit. Good old Walder kept getting spited by those damn Tullys. They refuse Walder's marriage proposals, make fun of him behind his back, give him cruel nicknames like the late Walder Frey, and that bitch Catelyn killing his wife. You know, typical bullying shit. Because Walder is such a good guy, others might try to take advantage. When King Robb Stark needed to cross the Frey's bridge, Robb agreed to marry one of Walder's daughters. Walder also committed his own army to Robb's cause. But House Stark, being the traitorous bastards that they are, King Robb broke the agreement and married Jane Westerling instead. Robb eventually figured that this was going to be a big problem, so Robb threatened his uncle Edmure to marry one of Walder's daughters even though Edmure didn't want to. So at Edmure's wedding, we all see Walder's daughter Rosalind, who turns out to be really hot, and it was at that moment Robb knew he done goofed. Probably because Walder is so honorable, it was most likely the gods will, at that wedding, pretty much everyone supporting House Stark died. Catelyn survived, but because she was so pissed off that karma caught up to her, she threatened Walder's wife. Not cool. Good, reliable Walder treated Catelyn like any stupid kid having a temper tantrum and pretty much ignored her. And like any stupid kid having a temper tantrum that's being ignored, she screams and yells and kills Walder's young wife. Don't worry, one of Lord Walder's sons gets justice for his stepmother by slicing Catelyn's neck open. Number 7. Carl Tanner. The great warrior Carl Tanner was from Gin Alley in Flea Bottom King's Landing, where he was famously known as a legend. The people in Flea Bottom were so jealous of Carl Tanner's awesomeness that they had him shipped off to the Wall to join the Night's Watch. Carl participated in the Great Ranging Beyond the Wall, and after the Battle of the Fist of the First Men, the Night's Watch took refuge with the wildling Craster at his keep. Craster turns out to be a very bad host. The Night's Watch's brothers are starving because they only get bad scraps of food. But Craster is eating and drinking his fill right in front of everybody. Carl observes his brothers are suffering and dying due to Craster giving them only the bare minimum to survive. Craster obviously doesn't care and obnoxiously eats in front of everybody.
That bastard Craster starved him to death. The day we leave, Craster will tap a barrel of our wine and sit down to a feast of ham and potatoes and laugh at us, starving in the snow.
He knows he has the leverage in this situation and takes advantage of the Night's Watch's desperation. It's either stay in Craster's keep where it's warm and they get some food, or they get kicked out and completely starve in the snow. As if things weren't bad enough, Craster makes a very rude comment about killing the wounded so the Night's Watch will leave sooner.
I'll be glad when you and yours are gone.
As soon as our wounded are strong enough.
Nah. They're as strong as they're gonna get. Them that's dying. You cut their throats and be done with it. I'll leave them if you've not the stomach, and I'll sort them myself.
Carl Tanner has reached the end of his patience and stands up for his brothers.
Whose throat are you gonna cut, old man? It's cold outside, and there's nothing to eat.
My wives give you bread.
There's sawdust in the bread.
You don't like it. You go out there and eat the snow.
Carl speaking up gave Rast the courage to do the same.
He's sitting there, drinking our wine, eating his fill, but we die.
I'll give you crows enough. I gotta feed my women!
So you admit you've got a hidden larder then? How else you make it through winter?
The situation escalates because Craster tard rages over being called bastard and intimidates the brothers into not saying it again.
I am a godly man!
You're a stingy bastard!
Bastard! Huh? How do you little thief? And you! And you!
After an intense pause, Carl told the plain, simple truth.
You are a bastard. A daughter-fucking wildling bastard.
It was then Craster completely lost it and attacked. Carl had no choice but to defend himself, and being the superb fighter that he is, he defeated Craster easily. Now that Craster was gone, Carl Tanner and the Night's Watch throw an awesome party with all of Craster's daughters. Craster's daughters were so happy to be free from their father's abuse, and they all celebrated. While partying, Carl asked Rast to feed Jon Snow's direwolf Ghost. Rast refuses. How ungrateful! Carl Tanner saved everybody from Craster and threw an awesome party, and Rast was able to eat and drink some good food for the first time in a long while. Carl challenges Rast to single combat because he knows if Rast is able to act this way in front of the brothers, it makes Carl look weak as a leader.
I haven't lost a fight since I was 9. Maybe it's time? What do you think? Eh?
Rast knows he is no match for Carl, so he submits.
I wouldn't stand a chance. None of us would.
I was a fucking legend, Gin Alley.
Jon Snow crashes Carl's party with a bunch of haters because he is extremely jealous that Carl Tanner is so much more popular than him.
Here, the Night's Watch.
Lord Snow.
Carl politely greets Jon like a gentleman, but Jon doesn't care. How rude. As expected, the evil Jon Snow is no match for the legendary Carl Tanner. And just when Carl was about to win, one of Craster's daughters accidentally stabs Carl in the back. Jon seizes the opportunity and attacks while Carl's back is turned. Does honor mean nothing to Jon Snow, attacking an opponent while his back is turned? Jon could not take Carl on in a fair fight, so he had to pull cheap tricks to win. Even though the hero Carl Tanner is gone, we will all remember him as a great legend.
A fucking legend!
Number 6. Meryn Trant. He's a loyal member of the Kingsguard. Aside from Sandor Clegane, Sir Meryn Trant is the one usually protecting King Joffrey. On King Joffrey's name day tourney, Dontos Hollard shows up late and drunk. But it's all good. King Joffrey gracefully offers him as much wine as he wants.
Please, have another cup.
You sure, Your Grace?
Yes, to celebrate my name day. Have as much as you like.
And Sir Meryn Trant joins in to help Sir Dontos celebrate Joffrey's name day. So, they play a good old Westerosi drinking game. Meryn Trant has a funnel in Dontos' mouth, while another Kingsguard pours a whole barrel of wine into it. Haha! Meryn Trant and his rowdy Kingsguard buddies sure do know how to party. Also, Sir Meryn has a bit of a side job as a school teacher or something like that. Does his generosity know no end? We see him in a classroom with some kids who have been misbehaving, and it's up to Sir Meryn to set them straight. But there's one kid that's not paying attention, who we know is Arya Stark. So Meryn sees that this girl is going to be a lot of work, so he sends the other girls out so he can give Arya his full attention.
I can see I have my work cut out for me. You two, out.
But Arya, she doesn't like that. No, she doesn't take her lesson well at all. She spazzes out and totally tard rages, and ends the story of our beloved Meryn Trant once and for all. I like to point out that Meryn Trant did nothing wrong and that it was all Arya's fault. She's a very troubled person with a lot of mental and anger issues. At least Meryn Trant is still alive in the books, so that's good. Number 5. Robert Baratheon. Back during the later reign of Aerys Targaryen, the whole realm was in chaos. Mad King Aerys Targaryen was burning people alive because he was a paranoid idiot. But things went from bad to worse when the Mad King's son Rhaegar Targaryen kidnapped Lyanna Stark, who was Robert's fiancée. Robert, House Stark, the entire realm, everybody had enough of House Targaryen's bullshit. Robert called all of his banners, and so did his best bud Ned. It was time to stop those evil Targaryens once and for all. Eventually, that coward Rhaegar comes out of hiding with an army numbering around 40,000. Robert's army was smaller, around 30,000 men. The two sides engage, and Robert and Rhaegar face off in single combat. But Robert is a magnificent warrior and has justice on his side. Being the reasonable man that he is, Robert lets that evil Rhaegar know that taking other people's girlfriends isn't honorable. The dragon spawn isn't interested in honor. He is the heir to the Iron Throne and can take whatever he wants. Rhaegar Targaryen was taught a harsh lesson that day about honor and justice in the form of a warhammer to the chest. Afterwards, King Aerys dies and Robert becomes the new king, and there was peace across the realm with only good times ahead. Number 4. Joffrey Baratheon. Joffrey Baratheon is the one true king of Westeros. Unfortunately, when Robert died, a lot of problems ensued. Robb Stark was named King of the North and declared the North's independence because he's jealous of Joffrey's popularity. And Joffrey's uncles Stannis and Renly put their claims to the Iron Throne. Renly wants to be king because his best bud Loras Tyrell told him to. Stannis Baratheon wants the throne to save the Seven Kingdoms from the White Walkers. Despite his army being severely outnumbered, Joffrey prevailed and defeated all of his enemies. He bravely led the attack at the Battle of Blackwater and defeated his uncle Stannis.
I broke Stannis on the Blackwater.
Robb Stark perished at the Red Wedding, and the gods must have been favoring the true and honest king of Westeros because Renly suddenly died, and House Tyrell aligned with House Lannister, making Joffrey's faction by far the richest and the one with the largest army.
What is it, 12,000 infantrymen the Tyrell family has supplied? 1,800 mounted lancers? 2,000 in support. Provisions, so this city might survive the winter. 1 million bushels of wheat, 500,000 bushels each of barley, oats, and rye. 20,000 head of cattle, 50,000 sheep. You don't have to lecture me about wartime expenses. I'm quite familiar with them.
And we are so grateful for your contributions, which are necessary for the preservation of the realm.
When all the fighting was winding down, and it seemed there would once again be peace, Joffrey was poisoned by that evil Olenna Tyrell at his own wedding.
Poison! Murder! Oh my gosh! I died! Oh.
Now, everyone seems to think it was Tyrion that poisoned Joffrey, but that's not true at all. We all know Tyrion is always innocent, and it was Olenna Tyrell's fault that young, handsome Joffrey met his untimely end. Rest in peace, King Joffrey. Number 3. Euron Greyjoy. So he's a newcomer on the show and books and hasn't made too many appearances, but he has already established himself as a very kind and loving man that cares about Westeros. When King Balon Greyjoy trips over a bridge or something and becomes an hero, Euron comes back to the Iron Islands to claim the Salt Throne during the King's Moot, where the Iron Islanders vote to select the new king. Euron tells the Iron Islanders his plan to bring peace and prosperity to Westeros. Daenerys Targaryen and her 3 dragons. Euron has a dragon horn which has the power to bind dragons to the user's will. With the riches he gifts the other lords, his reputation as an extremely competent sea captain, and his great plan of legit peace for Westeros, Euron becomes the new king of the Iron Islands. However, Euron's nephew and niece, Reek and Yara Greyjoy, don't like this. Yara was another contender for the Salt Throne, so in retaliation of Uncle Euron winning the King's Moot, she and her crew, along with Reek, take the Iron Islands' best ships.
Where are my niece and nephew?
They stole our best ships.
Euron has a legit plan to deal with this. A new Iron Fleet would be constructed that will be supplemented by the remaining ships. In the next season, Yara and Reek uses Euron's original idea and ally themselves with Daenerys, and they think they've totally gotten away with taking away their Uncle Euron's ships. They're relaxing with Alaria Sand, drinking some ale, but what's that? Uncle Euron has arrived! Only then did Reek and Yara realize they done goofed.
Euron.
Give your uncle a kiss.
Don't worry, Euron's not angry with his foolish niece and nephew. He and his crew are only here to teach them that taking things that don't belong to you is wrong. Reek is so scared of getting punished by Uncle Euron, he runs away. So after Euron's peaceful but stern lesson, Yara's entire fleet is destroyed. Yara is then walked through the streets of King's Landing by Uncle Euron as a way of making sure she learns her lesson. Number 2. Roose Bolton. Head of House Bolton, Lord of the Dreadfort, and later on, Warden of the North. Because of Roose Bolton, peace was brought back to the North after the War of the Five Kings. When Robb Stark raised his banners, Roose loyally answered the call and joined the Northern Campaign. In the beginning, things were going great for the North. Robb was winning battle after battle, and the Northern Army was gaining confidence. Morale was high, and Robb was declared king in the north. That's when something happened to Robb. He became overcome with power. He changed, becoming colder and cruel. Roose stands by and watches Robb Stark sink further and further into madness, but stands with him because there was still the possibility of the North beating the Lannisters. But Robb stops listening to his commanders and advisors and makes mistake after mistake, and Roose is watching it all fall apart. While Robb's army is down south, the Iron Islands begin their invasion of the north, taking many territories including Winterfell, Robb's ancestral castle. King Robb went into a huge tarred rage for some reason one day and had 5 of his own Northmen slayed, with the most important one, Rickard Karstark, personally saved for last.
It's treason to free your enemies. In war, you kill your enemies. Did your father not teach you that, boy?
Escort Lord Karstark to the dungeon. Hang the rest.
By dispatching Rickard Karstark, Robb not only lost the Karstark portion of his army, but he committed the serious taboo of kinslaying.
The blood of the first men flows through my veins as much as yours, boy. We are kin. Stark and Karstark.
It won't save you now.
Roose Bolton had enough. The king in the north had gone too far. Robb's final plan was an all-or-nothing assault on Casterly Rock. His mother Catelyn, who is a horrible advisor, oversaw and agreed with this plan. So you know that's a sure sign it's gonna go completely wrong.
I'm asking your advice.
Are you sure about this?
No. We'll lose the war and die the way Father died.
Lord Bolton personally stopped Robb at the Red Wedding and saved thousands of innocent lives. Peace finally returns to the north. For his heroic bravery, Roose Bolton was named the new Warden of the North. Thank you, Lord Bolton, you saved us all. Number 1. Ramsay Bolton. You all know who it was going to come down to. Ramsay Bolton has the reputation of being the kindest man in Westeros. Ramsay is Roose Bolton's son, so it's obvious where Ramsay got his good behavior from. We first see Ramsay saving this guy named Reek and gives him a beautiful white horse so he can get away from the people chasing him. Reek gets caught later, but Ramsay shows up and single-handedly defeats Reek's pursuers.
Come, my lord.
Reek and Ramsay become best friends, and they go on some great, fun adventures together, taking Moat Cailin. Ramsay gives Reek a bath.
It's a bath. For you.
And in return, Reek gives Ramsay a shave. They even make a band.
Once I've got you, once he's caught you, it will be torture.
Later on, Ramsay is married to Sansa Stark, who we all know is a bad person. But perhaps being married to the kindest man in Westeros can make her change her evil ways. It was the perfect wedding. The amount of snowfall was just right in the north that night. All of Ramsay's family and friends were in attendance, and Ramsay's best friend Reek gave Sansa away. And of course, the groom was there, looking extremely handsome as ever. After being married to the evil Sansa Stark, that's when everything goes wrong for Ramsay and his family. Ramsay's best friend Reek runs away with his wife. His father gets poisoned by his enemies.
Send ravens to all the northern houses. Roose Bolton is dead. Poisoned by our enemies.
And his stepmother and newborn brother suffers an early demise. Not only that, Sansa meets up with the evil Jon Snow at the wall so they can team up and destroy Ramsay. What kind of person would even think of hurting Ramsay Bolton? He's so nice and kind. Jon, Sansa, and Ramsay meet up later. Ramsay's not even angry at Sansa for running away.
My beloved wife, I've missed you terribly. Thank you for returning Lady Bolton safely.
The meeting gets nowhere and ends with Sansa threatening her own husband. But Ramsay, being the kind gentleman that he is, compliments Sansa's beauty.
If you want to save
You're going to die tomorrow, Lord Bolton. Sleep well.
She's a fine woman, your sister. And you're all fine-looking men.
So the Battle of the Bastards commences, and Ramsay would have won easily. But Jon Snow is a total script kiddie and downloaded some hacks. So he dodges barrages of arrows over and over and able to take out many men single-handedly without getting hit once, even though Jon doesn't have a helmet or a shield. Don't worry, Ramsay Bolton is one of the best battle commanders in Westeros. He has a plan to defeat the lame script kiddie Jon Snow. The Bolton army completely surrounds Jon's waddling army and closes in. And it's only a matter of time before the Bolton army emerges victorious. But that damn evil Sansa arrives with the Knights of the Vale at the last moment and crushes the Bolton army. Ramsay retreats back to Winterfell and Jon pursues him. The gates of Winterfell are knocked down by a giant, but Ramsay defeats it with a single shot of his arrow. The gate is gone and the enemy is pouring into the castle. Ramsay sees the situation is lost and peacefully surrenders. But that damn Jon Snow viciously smacks him in the face with his shield and proceeds to hit him over and over, even though Ramsay isn't fighting back at all. Beloved Ramsay is taken to the dungeons, badly hurt, and bound to a chair. Sansa looks smugly at Ramsay for the final time, and they share some last words before Sansa sets Ramsay's own dogs on him to be eaten alive. How horrible! And for it to happen to such a kind and peaceful man! Those damn traitorous Starks! The North remembers! The North remembers! With Ramsay Bolton gone, Jon and Sansa may have doomed Westeros, because there is a legit theory that Ramsay could be Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, the one that will save the world from the Long Night and the White Walkers. When Melisandre looked into the flames, she saw Snow. Ramsay Snow! In the prophecy, it says when the Red Star bleeds, Azor Ahai shall be born again. After Mokaelin is captured by House Bolton, Ramsay's father Roose presents him with a decree legitimizing him as a member of House Bolton. This happens while a red comet or bleeding star was in the sky that day. Thus, Ramsay Snow was reborn as Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised. Ramsay Bolton! God damn it! Why do the fucking Starks have to ruin everything? Westeros